All right. So, for the audience that doesn't know you, feel free to introduce yourself.
What's happening? All right, now you can hear me right now?
Yeah, I can hear you. All right, introduce
All
yourself.
right. I'm Cameron. I'm in New York. I'm a little bit far from you, maybe like 45 minutes, but do a bunch of social media stuff, marketing agency, record label, and then investment management. Obviously around a bunch of the car guys. I saw your page and you hit me up. I saw that Ventador. I'm like, all right, that's more than enough than I need, but it's beautiful out, man. Ray, say what's up. How are you?
I'm great, bro. I'm great, and I'm glad that we got to do this finally because we've been like in the talks here and
Of
there
course.
for a couple months. Yeah, no. So I reached out to you because you
Hmm.
liked the Aventador post, and then I think you liked my story too. And I was like, you know what? Fine, I'll just talk to the guy because I saw it was
Hell
like,
yeah, try it out.
yeah, no. And I'm glad we got in touch. So I got to start by asking this question, right? I was
Yeah.
looking, and we have like a couple mutual followers, and then just like there's people that I follow that follow you. The two that were the most interesting, or really the one, was MTV Jesse, who was like
Yeah.
one of the original members of the Nelk, like the Nelk group or the Nelk boys. Why does he follow you?
Well, I think once you're on Instagram, you'll if you start to make money through Instagram, you'll see DMs are sorted from highest to lowest. There's general and primary. So obviously I saw some softwares and messed with my pages a little bit. And when you have 400 followers, it might be a little hard to talk to Travis Scott, but when you get yourself to like 100,000 and you start doing things with the page, I started DMing everyone these people followed. Can even be copy and pasting messages. And then just like the cars, if you talk to these people, they always know something. So you just start to absorb what it is they're doing and how they're doing it. And obviously you can't copy someone, but you make your own little sauce. I think once you sell a digital product, like I can't touch a lot of these products, or you start to realize you're like, oh, maybe working for $15 an hour is not the best. So you start talking to people, you start realizing, oh, I can make money with just my voice. And people start to see people are picking up, they're like, who's this? But who's the other person? I would like to know. Shout out
Well,
MTV.
yeah. So the other one that was interesting that I noted was High Prospects, and the reason that he was interesting was because I. So the reason he was interesting was because he's followed by like everybody that Andrew Tate and the Tates follow, like literally everybody that the Tates follow, with the exception of, well, actually, I don't think, no, Tristan Tate does follow him too. But yeah, so where did this come from?
Dude, I keep getting in trouble because people are seeing my posts. They see like by at 444 plug. They send it to my family or my brother, and I get in trouble. But you can't if you find something funny, it's hard to hide from it, no? And like you said, you just mentioned a few people who are extremely important and they follow specific morals, and those are the exact type of things I want to be aligned with. And once you're in line with those people, it's hard to pretend you're someone else, right? You have to follow a strict line. And once you're on a podcast for 45 minutes, it's very hard to turn another way when you're already in one specific way. You know, once you start going to the gym, it's very simple. 30, 45 minutes a day changed everything. And so once you start to add these little things, you start eating better, starting going to sleep on time. Well, these are all little hacks. Obviously, you learn things with social media, but you have to just start absorbing these types of things. I want to be that person. Okay, so what is it they're doing? You need to now download that. I want to do this, 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 and this because that person's doing it. And you're slowly following those footsteps.
So he follows you, but why is it that he follows you? It's just like, have you reached out to him, or
Yeah, well, once you have similar interests, I mean, you see some of his post captions, you're like, I can't listen to this in public. But I find that shit so hilarious. I mean, he's blown up on YouTube. He knows how to do the captions right. I'm sure you know how to do it right. Super consistent too. I started clicking through the videos. I'm like, shit, this kid's pretty good. He's got some cool FBI people, and I was like, all right, let's try it out. I've never done a podcast before, but I'm seeing a bunch of people asking me about it. I'm like, fuck yeah, let's do it, right?
So this is the first interview you've ever done.
Yeah, I got look up Rory on my page later. He's Tristan's boy, of course. It's something it'll make you nervous, right? I mean, the first few times you did it, but you need to just be like, look, I gotta be more, I have to do more. And a journalist was asking me maybe a week or two ago. I started kickboxing. Obviously, they're pushing on me. They're like, you need to, like, obviously, if you're tall, you need to do this, 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 this. You need to make money. You need to be healthy. If you're short, you need to do this, 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 this. You need to be making money, be healthy. So it doesn't matter what card you're dealt with. You need to just keep becoming more. I mean, I think you can probably feel it. You feel a little shame when you're not being productive. You're just sitting there doing nothing. So I'm like, well, if anything goes wrong, you cut it out and try something new, right? Get uncomfortable. That's what I told the journalist. I'm getting a little arrogant, so I need to be humbled, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And as of starting the page and starting your management group or agency and getting into this, what's the most important thing you've learned?
Most important thing I've learned, I was speaking to it's a guy in New York, right? We're an hour or two out of the city. I was going to the gym and I saw a murdered out G Wagon. So obviously I'm like, and I started looking closer and I realized it's a 6x6. I'm like, what the fuck? So I spoke to the guy. I've met him a few times. He's got SVJ. Obviously things are like, all right, he's doing something. So I'm after the first few times I met him, I said, look, none of us trust politicians, right? This is after the past how many years they've burned a hole through that. The second thing I said to him was, look, if you hustle or you do anything in school, you're gonna be like, huh, it seems like the teachers don't have my best interests right now. And I realized that maybe seventh or eighth grade, but the final one was, damn, my own health officials and doctors now don't have my best interests. And so from there on, I took these car guys. I'm like, you have a better interest than you're gonna help me more than my teachers, my doctors. And I'm a firm believer, right? And you see someone with SVJ, you go up to them. That's what I've learned. I'll tell you a story about that. It's a black Lamborghini Aventador LP600, but once you see these cars, you start to realize nothing even makes sense. And then you have to just fully shatter. You have to fully shatter everything you've learned. You have to relearn it and say, this doesn't really make sense to me, but I have to see in someone else's perspective. And then, like I was talking about a little while ago, I think your uncle came and picked you up in a red Aventador, right?
Yeah.
And the kids around you're like, what the fuck? How is that possible? That's a 500,000, 480.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So, I mean, for some context, he's not the only person that did it. Then there was a guy that I DM'd on Instagram, and it was a Huracan, and he did that too. There was another guy, he was a friend of the guy with the Huracan, and he picked me up in a Porsche. And then there was my uncle did 3 pickups. Then I had a friend of mine who had a Mach 1 Mustang. But yes, yeah. To answer your question, yes, that was one video.
Everything changes immediately, right? It's like how you dress differently. You immediately feel everything around you is changing.
Yeah, but when you say everything is changing, like in what sense? Like,
Well,
if
people
we're
are
talking,
treating you differently. They're either looking at you different. They're going to look you up and down. That's how people work now, right? If you want to be
yeah,
hyper aware and you're looking people up and down, all right, what shoes? All right, what car? What? Maybe that's immature, but that's how the world works. They're looking you up and down. What shoes do you have? What Jordans do you have on? and they're sizing you up. So you met these people through social media, or is just your uncle?
I met these people through social media. There was my uncle, yes, and that's obvious that I would know him. So, but no, I didn't meet them through him. I met them through just myself, through social media, other than
So
him.
once once you're on social media, you realize, okay, just because they're not 15 minutes away, they could be an entire city away from you. But you can now FaceTime them and in real time exchange information. 10 years ago, that was never possible. So that the story about the black Lamborghini Aventador, I was obviously I want to make it clear, I don't own a Lamborghini. But when you're around these people and then you mix in your own marketing, obviously some artists, obviously some blue check comments, anything you're moving, people look at you differently. And now when I tell someone my price is $444, they're like, okay, bet. Or back then, if I say something's $150 before I built up this name, they're like, $150. So now it doesn't matter what you're selling, it's how you're selling it. So the Lamborghini event store, I obviously don't own. I was 17 or 18, SUNY Morrisville, just out of high school. I went into auto mechanics. It was a mistake, but it was a good for learning. It was right before my 18th birthday. I was sending out stock alerts because I was on stock, trading stocks 6 or 7 years ago. Now I'm on crypto the past 2 years. We'll talk about that in a minute, but I sent out these copy and paste messages, sent it to one person, held it down, and pasted it to another. I'm in New York, you're in New Jersey, but at the time I sent it to a dude in LA, Mike. This is the story about the black Lamborghini Aventador. I just sent him a copy and paste message, and he's like, yo, these made me money. So now I'm like, okay, cool. I'm in my college dorm, and he's like, call me. I'm like, okay. He offers to fly me out to LA, pay for the ticket, put me in Aventador, because that's literally how I find these people. He, he offers to fly me out, and my parents are like, no, no, right? Because I'm not even 18 yet. And I'm like, no, I have to do this. And this is before my page was built up. You can see it's like 2019 from, but a week later after convincing them, it was like December 26th, maybe. And I get flown out for free. Within hours, I'm in a G-Wagon. Within hours, I'm in a Rolls Royce. Within hours, I'm in an Aventador. I'm like, all right, a Phantom stretch is like 4 or 5,000 a day, but I was there for free. I was in the Aventador for free. I was in the G-Wagon for free. I'm in the Rolls Royce. So at that point, you're like, nothing even makes sense. And so when you start looking at reality right now, you're like, how are these kids making 100 grand at 15 years old off of crypto? And so everything begins to break, and then you have to relearn everything. You see that Rolls Royce, you saw that red Aventador, you're like, okay, how do I do this? And then you start to develop. Someone was explaining to me that obviously you can't care what people think, but then you have to. Yeah, I don't care if she doesn't like me, but I now have to go to the gym harder. So you have to stay on such a thin line now. But if you go to the gym, if you're drinking water, you cut out soda. Like I'm trying to maximize every single ounce that I possibly can right now. Because it is our parents' names and we're here for a reason. And obviously you probably want a Ventador or a Huracan. These are 300,000 to 500,000. So you need to say, okay, what do I do to get there right now?
So if you had to give somebody a word of advice, right? Well, first of all, how old are you? I want to ask that.
21. You?
I am 17.
Oh, you're young.
But
You're
if you,
young. I thought you were like 20. Dude, you got so many
no,
podcasts. If you just keep piling them up, you will totally blow up. But continue. Apologies.
I appreciate that. Yeah, but I was gonna say that if you had to give somebody advice, what would it be? Like, especially a young person.
Well, go to the
What would
gym.
you give?
Go to the gym and don't be a victim. Like I'm not big, but I go every single day, no matter how I feel. You go. You look at the hot chicks, whatever. But you need to throw on the AirPod and listen to music and get in there. Because being a victim, there's upward spirals and there's downward spirals, and you're the only one in control of which one you choose.
So, with regards now to running the management agency, right, and the people that you've spoken to, and the people that you've helped build their accounts and run certain aspects of it, what have you learned about what it means to what people's where do people's interests lie in entertainment, and what do people really want to see?
Well, entertainment, I think you understand the cars are a main one. That's the whole marketing, right? So I own 444 Records. That's the music label. So I actually have a lot of rappers now that came in from marketing, but they're used with music. Obviously, you have the clothes. Obviously, you have the cars. That's the most basic, but you have to build on it, right? You always have to keep building on it. There's what Have you seen someone on TikTok how long they stay on a post? A half second.
Yeah.
So are you going to give them a reason to watch? Or are you just another? Do you have anything valuable to say? Or are you someone who's actually saying something intelligent? People are starting to listen to you more, so they're like, huh, who is this? But how 90% of posts are just ignored, right? So even just a little caption, guy does dot dot dot. Well, that's gonna grab your attention. So that's really it. And then you have the cars, and you have to also realize the 20 the even the 40-year-old moms, they don't like loud cars. So I'm not targeting the 40-year-old moms that don't like loud cars. I'm targeting the 20-year-old kids that do like loud cars. So obviously there's the genre, which is the music, of course, but then you have the age, right? Because you're going 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Then you have gender, then you have interests. So we're both going after the males. We're both going after 17, 18, 19, 20, and we're both using Lamborghinis to target interests because there's target words you're using. Lamborghini, Hublot, Audemars Piguet, chain, yacht. Anyone who's looking up for a yacht, you want to target that person. They have some money, if that makes any sense.
Right. And so now moving from that, when it comes to the cars, right, and what exactly it is that you do. So what part of, the management is relative to the cars? Like what's the relationship there?
Well, it started off, I think you understand if you post a bag of chips, no one cares. So the algorithm just pushes it to four people. I was always posting cars because that's what I was obsessed with. But then there were people that were actually very interested in it. So you start to see the patterns of what will and won't work. That's why you choose specific FBI or CIA person. Well, that's just going to target someone better and grab their attention for more than those 3 seconds to give them the hook, give them something to keep watching for.
So who are some of the more interesting people that you've met or spoken to? Maybe even people that I would know or people that other people would know that you have spoken to in some way.
Well, there's obviously the big dogs like you were talking about, and obviously we like to speak about those, but you can't forget sometimes in your hidden DMs, there's just some kid with 80 followers who just knew to buy a crypto, and he sent me something. I look at it, and he's correct, and it hits. Those people too, like you're a smaller page too, but there's hidden gems in those too. So you have to build up something, and you're obviously looking for the high clients. Travis Scott's people, Lil Baby's DJ. Obviously, that's a big one because I'm in love with rap music, but smaller people nearby. You may only be 45 minutes away. And maybe we'll get studio next time, but when you start to listen to everyone, you don't have to respond, right? But you can watch it. What do they have to say? Especially the car guys. Maybe you don't ever talk to them again, but you still go up to them. You still ask them, how did you get here? Because they might have something. Even the dumbest people in the world, like when you ask your mom something and she says some dumb shit, she may give you a real good response that makes you like, I never thought of that. So obviously you want to keep targeting these huge people, but you need to be hyper aware about everything around you. You need to still listen. And you also need to be selective. If you're hearing something you dislike, get that out. You need to delete that program. Someone's key like I don't want to watch movies. I don't want to play video games. I want to win. I want to be better and have a name that's valuable. Have a name that people listen to because all the streamers like, hey, you're playing video games. Are you doing anything? Are you saying anything? Is there anything that means something?
Is there anybody that you've spoken to that has truly changed your perspective in a way that you still think about?
Well, even Tristan, obviously, him being friends with Rory, them saying to get in the gym. If you just get in the gym, that is it. Because that's the very first step. If you feel good about yourself, you look good wearing some clothes, you're in the gym every day, you're a different person. Once you're just in the gym, and then you start to listen to people complain, right? And you can either say, all right, look, if I'm talking to my sister, she just wants to ramble on. But if I'm talking to my homie, we need to make a solution. Are we just complaining, or are we going to solve this? So you don't have to cut anyone off when you're just elevating. I opened up I opened up Homies Against Predators. Obviously, I have a little sister, I have a mother, I have friends and loved ones. Once you get the car, you start to understand money isn't everything. You have to be genuine and you have to make the world a better place than how you found it. I'm gonna help accounts, maybe like 2,000 followers. They put up girls and they find the people who are doing shit that I don't agree with, right? Homies Against Predators. I don't want to make money off of that. I want to spend my own money on that. You know, I see very strange comments about there's a few shout out for real. There's a few of them that are, I don't want to say baiting them, but they're locating them. And there's people in the comments to leave them alone, leave them alone. Nah, nah. And there's real strange things going on. You know, I've dropped out twice now. I don't regret it. The second school started putting SUNY Ak, Orange County Community College, started to put tampons in the men's bathroom. And I made it clear I saw this. And I said in my classroom, everyone's looking at me strange. I'm like, you are the strange one. I'm not the strange one. And you start to get isolated a little bit. I think once you're talking about these people, you're following some of the things Tristan says. You can't. I've talked to a few people. I said, look, we both like Ferraris. There is a model you don't like that I do like. That doesn't mean one of us is incorrect, but it can't be the exact same. You like a drink that I don't like. So it can't be perfect. Not everyone can possibly agree. But we have to be realistic, and that's where the becoming hyper aware is from. Like neither of us can talk to normal people. Like I want to talk about some video game, bro. Like you understand that too now when you're talking to all these people. You need to do something and you need to be productive. Because you just sit around watching Netflix eating Cheetos. Yes, I want to do that. No, I should not be doing that.
Well, one of the things that I always like to think about is what things mean to me in the sense of how I value certain things. So if I do play video games, it's the reason I'm doing it, I know I'm not going to convince myself that, oh, this is bad, but I shouldn't be doing it, or, oh, this is bad. It's like, no, I'm using this time to talk to a friend, to relax, and then I'll do work later, and then I'll
Of
do work in
course.
an hour, or when
Of
I'm
course.
done, or I'll have work already done and then do it. That's preferable. But I don't like to use video games as a method of escaping anything. It's just a time for me to hang out with my friends, right? And that's the way that I see it. What are your thoughts?
We all like ice cream, right? I
Right.
eat too much ice cream. There you go, right? So you have to still find balance. You need to be able to. I'm in the gym every single day, no matter what. Then I started kickboxing, so I'm like, all right, let's get uncomfortable. So you may be better than I am about it. When I was playing video games 5 or 6 years ago, it'd be the whole week straight, and then I won't touch it for 3 months. So maybe we have different patterns, but we all like ice cream. But how often are you consuming the ice cream?
And a lot of people like video games too, especially a lot of boys,
Well,
more
I
than
love
girls at the
video
very
games.
least.
I'm not gonna say I don't love video games. You don't like to sit in GTA and just blow through a pedestrian? Because I love doing that.
Yeah, everybody does. That's or like especially when there's a bunch of them,
A
or
crowd, yeah,
whatever. GTA is a fun.
preferably.
Yeah. No, everybody likes GTA and everybody likes it for that reason. Um, but you know, that's the way that I see it. Is I like playing video games because it's a time more to talk to my friends. And, if it's not to talk to my friends, it's just to relax for a bit and then to rehone almost, if that makes sense, and to refocus my energy a little bit into something a little bit more fun or relaxed. Because if you spend your whole life working, then that's not fun. I don't think that's a perfect way to live. I don't idealize people that are workaholics necessarily. And when I say workaholic, I don't mean somebody that works all the time or is pushing themselves far beyond their limits. I mean, as in somebody that themselves to points where, you know, they have absolutely nothing to like look forward to. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Right. So now going forward with your life, where do you see yourself in like the next 5 years?
Can you repeat the end of that question? I only heard the first half.
Where do you see yourself in the next 5 years?
Well, from those car people, you're gonna learn that 5 years is an important thing. The 1 month, 6 month, 1 year, 5 year, 10 years. Where do you want to be? If if you're just hoping, it's never gonna come. But if you just start setting plans, no, I want to definitely get into the real estate. I think that's awesome. Opening up a music studio. I think that's super dope and interested. But even just renting out cars, you know, Puerto Rico, I'm looking at Bali, anything that makes sense. The investment management, I'd like to blow up because that's something I was trading since I was like 13 years old on my grandfather's account because I wasn't past the 18-year old age limit. But charities, I think you can understand that. But going for that SV Roadster, dude, if it keeps you up at night, you need to figure that shit out. You need to figure out how to make that happen. And no one likes a quitter. No, there's nothing worse than a quitter. No one can help a quitter. No one can fix a quitter. Get the car. So 5 years, I think that's reasonable. That SV Roadster or that LP 600, there's just nothing like it. So I'll put that down as my answer. LP 600 within 5 years. Obviously, Trackhawk or something before that, but I think that's realistic. Say 5 years to get maybe a Huracan if you can't figure it out fully, but a SV Aventador or that, you don't think that's realistic? I'm with it. My brother thinks
I
it's
think that
dope too.
I think it's dope and I think it's realistic. And but I also want to go back to the question just came to me, which is you
Yeah,
spoke about hidden gems. And you spoke about that not it is something I agree with, which is that not all talent, or you know, it's not always the people that everybody talks about or that are most important or the most special, right? 100%. Um, but off of that is when it comes to these hidden gems that you mentioned and the people that are doing things that are kind of crazy or insane at a with a very small audience. How do you find a talent? How do you find the difference between somebody that has a hidden talent versus somebody is okay or good or decent? How do you find the guy that just has hidden talent?
Well, there's an artist on my page right now. And check him out. I found he was just running an Instagram ad. So sometimes it's gonna come to you. Sometimes you have to move a rock over. There's different types of luck. I wouldn't call it luck. But if you're looking for someone, he didn't make rap music, but you start to look at these either opportunities or even on I'm looking at rims for sale for the whip ski, and a post came up for a plot of land. I was like, in New York, I don't want to do that right now, but I messaged them anyways. So that may not ever happen, but I messaged that person who had a plot of land because I was like, huh, this is interesting. The numbers are correct. Obviously, I'm not looking for a piece of land in New York, but I saw it and I'm like, huh, take my phone number. And now maybe 6 months down the line, I see that again. I'd consider that a hidden gem, especially, well, you can't put, like you said, all of your eggs in one basket. So once you start spreading it out, I say, okay, let me look at real estate. Okay, let me try to make money off of my voice. And then you get on a podcast. Maybe that works. Maybe someone sees this podcast, $5,000, take care of this. I need this website done. Or maybe no one sees it. But to just sit in my bed watching Netflix, I didn't think that was as helpful as, all right, let's hop on a podcast. We'll talk. Let's do it. Maybe we messed up the times a little bit. Maybe that was my fault. But it's amazing out right now. It's probably like 80 degrees. Once you go out under the sun, you'll feel a lot better. That shit is healing. But that's how you just find a gem. Be someone like I will always keep my hood up, but if someone asks something, you be respectful. Like I was talking to someone 2 days ago about girls, and they were going to McDonald's. I'm like, I don't care how hot you are, and I don't care if we're in McDonald's. If you can be respectful to the workers, you have no business being with me. You're not gonna stain my name because they're working for $8 an hour. They don't want to be there. So I am gonna be respectful to them. I am gonna be kind to them. So just walking that line, right? Once you walk that line, you just say, I'm not doing that, but I am doing this. I want this. I'll do this. And then you find something for music, you find some kid moving, some crypto, you find some artists you like, you just have to keep like hyper aware. If you're in the gym and you're looking around, and are you aware? Are you aware of what's going on? You see the state of the world right now. You know what's going on. The whole world is about to collapse.
What do you mean by that? In what sense?
You don't agree?
It's not that I don't agree. It's just that people say it a lot, and I want to know the exact, because it's a there's a statement by Carl Sagan where he goes, extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. So
Absolutely.
if you're
All right.
saying
You have food. You have inflation with money, right? I believe since 2020, USD, the US dollar has lost 25% of its purchasing power. So right off the bat, so then all the news coming out on mainstream about whatever was put in our arms. Then you have what's going on in schools. Then you have I've made a few predictions that have been super good. I think they're going to use some sort of solar flare to wipe out Wi-Fi and data. You can see with the food, there's weird things going on with cows and chickens. Meat, they're very against meat for some reason. I think you're starting to catch on. Then Even just things in colognes when they're starting to say what's in it, they're starting to say what's in your food. You know, I was at, and this was one of the sadder things. I was in the dentist 2 or 3 days ago. I asked the nurse was so kind to me, right? And that's what we're looking for, to be a genuine human. But I asked, I said, all right, what toothpaste am I supposed to be using? And she said, the dentist said anything with fluoride. And I just sat there, I was like, damn, fluoride. Again, a health official or a doctor. So you can't take your advice from these people. You can't take your news from these people. You have to be extraordinarily selective about every single thing now. I Once you start learning about frequencies of music, now I'm like, man, but you have to just be hyper aware. I'll keep repeating that. You need to pick up everything, pick up as much as you possibly can. And again, you delete the things you don't like.